Hello all, I am Shatabdi Acharya from Vedang Institute of Technology, and in this video we will be dealing about molecular orbital theory. Molecular orbital theory. Molecular orbital theory. So, here what principle we are dealing with? Basically, LCAO, that is linear combination of atomic orbitals, right? Linear combination of atomic orbitals, LCAO principle. Basically, we know atoms combine to form molecules, right? In valence bond theory, what we learned? The valence electrons or the valence orbitals of the atoms, they combine together, or they overlap with each other to result in a molecule, right? So, but this theory deals with basically the same concept but in a different manner, right? So, this basically says the atomic orbitals, they combine or they overlap with each other linearly in a linear fashion to give rise to molecular orbitals. Molecular orbitals, and after the formation of these molecular orbitals, the atomic orbitals basically they lose their existence, right? So here valence bond theory was only talking about the valence orbital, but this theory deals with all the intervening orbitals, including the valence orbital of the individual atoms, right? So according to this, all the orbitals of a particular atom, they combine with all the orbitals of the next or the combining atom to give rise to different molecular orbitals, and after the formation of the molecular orbital, the atomic orbitals, they lose their existence. Okay, so basically it deals with linear combination of atomic orbitals. For example, if an s orbital combines with another s orbital, these two will basically overlap with each other, or this is the one atomic orbital, this is one atomic orbital. They will combine with each other to form molecular orbital, and if one atomic orbital is combining with another atomic orbital, basically if two atomic orbitals are taking part in the bonding, they will give rise to two molecular orbitals, right? And how they will arrange themselves? Suppose these two atomic orbitals of a particular energy, they are overlapping or they are combining with each other. They distribute their energies into two different forms. One energy lower than their individual energies and another one higher than their energies. The one where the energy is lower is called comparatively stabler state. So therefore this is called as bonding orbital. And the higher energy one, it is called the anti-bonding orbital. The lower energy one is called the bonding orbital and the higher energy one is called the anti-bonding orbital. Okay, and if they are combining in a head-on overlapping or a head-on fashion, that will result in the sigma bond, right? So here if two atomic orbitals are forming a sigma bond, they will break down their energies into sigma. Suppose 1s is combining, then sigma 1s. This will be sigma star 1s. This star represents the anti-bonding orbitals, okay? And the anti-bonding orbital will be of a higher energy than the atomic orbitals, and bonding orbitals will be of a lower energy than the combining orbitals. And after these splitting up of orbitals into various energies, that is bonding and non-bonding, like anti-bonding orbitals, electrons are redistributed in these two orbitals, right? Like for example, if it is 1s1 and here also 1s1, two 1s1 atomic orbitals are combining with each other, then how many electrons are total present? 1 each, so 2 electrons. They will follow the same principles we followed while filling the atomic orbitals also, like Hund's rule, Pauli's exclusion principle, and Aufbau principle. They will follow the same rule. So here electrons will be filled in a paired fashion, and then after this is filled, they will jump to the next orbital or the antibonding state. And as antibonding is comparatively of a higher energy state, so first it tries to fill up all the lower energy ones, and then it will jump to the antibonding. So if we consider bonding as a plus, antibonding will be a negative. Magnitude will be the same, but of a negative value, right? So now if we consider or take a particular example, for example, hydrogen atom. If I am taking hydrogen as an example, the configuration of one hydrogen atom is 1s1, and the one will be 1s1. So two hydrogen atoms of same energy, they will split up into bonding and antibonding. Here it is 1s1, here it was 1s1. This is the sigma 1s. This will be the sigma star 1s. Two electrons are there, they will be filled as sigma 1s2. So the configuration for hydrogen will be sigma 1s2. Okay, so this way we write the molecular orbitals for whatever atom or molecule is given to us. Now if I write ask you to draw the molecular orbital of He2, for example, 2 helium atom, then the configuration will be, for helium the configuration is 1s2, here will be 1s2. So basically here 1s2, 1s2 are combining with each other. Now in the splitting of bonding and non-bonding electrons orbitals, how many total electrons we are having? 4. So 2 in the bonding and 2 in the anti-bonding. Now I said bonding is given a positive sign, anti-bonding is given a negative sign. Now basically what happens? The bonding electrons are cancelled by, or the stability gained by the bonding electrons are cancelled by the instability gained by the antibonding electrons, and as a result what happens? This molecular structure fails to exist, right? So by using MOT you can also try or draw the feasible structures of molecules. For example, question will be asked, H2 is possible, but why not He2? So giving the example of this MOT diagram, you can say that it contains 2 electrons in its bonding electrons as well as 2 electrons in the antibonding electrons, and they both are cancelled out, as a result of which this molecule or this molecular structure fails to exist, right? So now I guess it's time to see some of the postulates or some of the important points of molecular orbitals. First of all, molecular orbitals are formed by the combination of atomic orbitals of equal or comparable energies. Again, 1s combines with 1s, 2s will combine with 2s, 2p will combine with 2p, right? Of equal or nearly comparable energies, that overlapping can take place, or the combination can take place. The number of molecular orbitals formed is equal to the number of atomic orbitals. If 2 atomic orbitals are combining, they will split up into 2 molecular orbitals. And if 2 atomic orbitals are combining, they will split up into 2 molecular orbitals. One will be of a lower energy, that is called the bonding orbital. One will be of the higher energy, that is called anti-bonding orbitals. And examples we have seen. Now the question arises, we all know the concept of electronegativity, right? Electronegativity. Electronegativity and electron gain enthalpy, ionization energy, right? These all are some of the concepts we are already aware of. What is electronegativity? This is the tendency of an atom to attract the shared pair of electrons towards itself. Electron gain enthalpy is amount of energy liberated when an atom or a neutral atom gains an electron to form a negative ion. Ionization enthalpy is the amount of energy required to liberate to liberate one electron from a neutral gaseous atom to form a positive or to form a cation, right? So if I compare one atom A and the atom B, suppose for example, one atom is having very high ionization enthalpy, means it is having electrons, and to take out its one valence electron, I have to supply a very large amount of energy to like remove one of its electron from its outermost orbits, right? So this is very difficult task for me. I have to supply a lot of energy to this orbital in order to take out electron. But for A, consider for A, it is very easy to, like I'll supply some very minimal amount of energy and one electron will just pop out of its outermost shell, right? So what happens? Here I need to supply more very high energy to liberate one electron. Rather, if removing electron is difficult for this atom, then gaining electron will be comparatively easier, right? Because here the atom is in itself having very low energy, and if it is having lower energy, then it will be comparatively stable, right? Lower the energy, more is the stability. So if I need to supply very large amount of energy to this atom to remove its electron, then it is in itself having very low energy. It is in a comparatively in a stable state. So we know that when we were drawing bonding electrons or bonding and anti-bonding, what I said, bonding electrons are having very low energy, or they are comparatively stabler than the anti-bonding ones. So they are present at the bottom and anti-bondings are present at the top, right? So what happens here, if you compare this and this, what logic do you get? The atom which are having in itself very low energy, we can call them as highly electronegative atom, because for them gaining electron is easy, right? So what happens? If I try to draw a molecular orbital diagram for any example, like any atom where there is an electronegativity between the two atoms, right? So will I place these two atoms at the same energy level? Obviously no. Why? Because if I compare these two, the one having lesser electronegativity has a greater tendency to donate electrons. It will require less amount of energy. That means it is in itself having a comparatively higher energy than the other atom. So what happens here? If I compare the electronegativity of carbon and oxygen, oxygen is present at a comparatively higher or more electronegative state than carbon. So what happens? For oxygen, removal of electron from its surface is very difficult. That means it is in itself having very lower energy. So if this is the bonding orbital, this is the anti-bonding orbital, then what will happen? Oxygen will be present little below than the carbon orbital, right? The splitting will take place like this. This is carbon, this is oxygen, okay? Their energies, and basically this diagram is an energy level diagram only. Here, as we go up, energy gradually increases. The value of A increases. So if I look at this diagram, I can say the more electronegative atom has a higher contribution to bonding orbitals, and lower electronegative atom has a higher contribution to anti-bonding orbitals. Okay, this is the concept you got. If you are having two atoms of different electronegativity, then how we will draw the molecular orbital diagram? The one which is having more electronegative, like less electronegative, that will be placed above the one that is like more electronegative. Okay, now we will take up specific examples. For example, CO, carbon monoxide. If I look at carbon, its configuration will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. It is the ground state configuration. And if I look at oxygen, it will be 8. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, here 2p4. Okay. So this one is having same electronegativity, sorry, same number of electrons as like this. So here bonding and anti-bonding will be cancelled. Here also bonding and anti-bonding will be cancelled. So our only point of focus will be this one, 2p. Now again, 2p is having two different orientation. P is present, but like sigma and pi concept here arises. So in 2p, suppose we consider z as the internuclear axis, this z as the internuclear axis, then x and y are perpendicular to this, and they are present out of the, like they are not present in the internuclear axis, they are present perpendicular to the internuclear axis. So here only z will form the sigma bond and x and y will form comparatively the pi bond. So is the energy of sigma and pi same? Obviously not. Sigma bond is more stable than pi bond, so sigma bond is having less amount of or less energy than pi bond. So pi bonds are present at a higher energy. So if these kind of splitting happens, what happen? Here I am writing carbon being more electronegative, I am writing it at the top. Here oxygen being less electronegative, I am writing it at the bottom. And for oxygen I am having a 2p4 configuration. So 1, 2, 3, 4. For carbon I am having a 2p2 configuration. And how splitting will occur? It will split into, this bonding will be of two different type. One will be sigma 2pz, another one will be pi 2px and pi 2py. These pi will be of equal energy, but there will be splitting of energy between this sigma and pi. Okay, same is the case of antibonding also. And remember, the one that is having the lowest bonding will have the highest antibonding energy. Okay, so if sigma 2pz is having the lowest bonding energy, obviously it will have the highest antibonding energy. So here this will be pi star 2px, pi star 2py, and this will be sigma star 2pz. How many electrons are there? 4 from oxygen and 2 from carbon, right? So I can write, I have to distribute 6 electrons. So here 1 orbital is there, 2 gone. Here 2 orbitals are there, so 6 electrons are occupied here and 0 in the antibonding state. Okay, so this will basically be the molecular orbital diagram for carbon monoxide. Now looking at this, what observation or how what is the electronic configuration we got from this molecular orbital theory? The configuration is of the following order. Here also, like the atomic orbitals, electron filling will happen in the order of energies, right? So there are two possible cases. One is where the sum of atomic number is greater than 14. Okay, greater than 14. Another case is less than equal to 14. If the sum of atomic number is greater than 14, they will follow the regular order what we have discussed here, which is sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, sigma 2pz, pi 2px, 2py, pi star 2px, pi star 2py, sigma star 2pz. But if the sum of atomic number is less than equal to 14, everything will remain the same, only one position will be interchanged. That is, this 2pz will move here, this will come here. In this case, later case, what happens? Sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, pi 2px equals to pi 2py, sigma 2pz, and rest all remains the same. Pi star 2px equals to pi star 2py, sigma star 2pz, right? So this is basically the electronic configuration in order of molecular orbital theory. And what all other information we can draw from MOT? So we have discussed, when we were discussing bond parameters, we were discussing about bond order, right? There was a term called bond order, which was basically bond order, which was the net bond formed between two molecules or the two combining atoms, right? So from MOT, from the electronic configurations of molecular orbital theory, we can write the electronic, or we can find out the bond order of different molecules, and the formula is bond order equals to number of bonding electrons minus number of anti-bonding electrons divided by 2. Got it? For example, if somebody asks what is the bond order for oxygen, right? So for oxygen, the atomic number is 8 and for 2 it is 16. So if I try writing the electronic configuration for oxygen, it will be sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. Yeah, it is greater than 14. Okay, so we will follow our regular order. Sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, sigma 2p z2. How many gone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 gone. We have to fill 6 more. Okay. So pi 2p x equals to pi 2p y. So here we'll go 4, 2 here, 2 there. Then number of next what will be filled? Pi star 2p x equals to pi star 2p y, and here we are we're left with 2 electrons, so one will go here, another one here. Okay, because these have to be singly filled before pairing. Okay, now you have to calculate the bond order for oxygen, right? So the bond order will be number of bonding electrons. So what are the number of bonding electrons here? See, this is a bonding orbital, this is the bonding orbital, this is a bonding orbital, and these are bonding orbitals. So how many bonding orbitals? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number of bonding electron here is 10 minus the other starred ones are our anti-bonding orbital. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 6 by 2. So 4 by 2, that is 2. So number of bond between two oxygen atom is 2. Okay. So from this molecular orbital theory, we can find out the bond order using the formula bonding number of bonding electrons minus number of anti-bonding electrons divided by 2. So I guess molecular orbital theory is clear. So with this molecular orbital theory, you can find out you can conclude various information about various molecules. So that's all for this video. Thank you.